Eli had never seen a jungle like this before. The sky above Zyphera glowed with two suns, one pale blue and the other soft orange. Strange plants stretched toward the sky, their leaves shimmering with soft light. Flowers bloomed in colors Eli had no names for, and vines hung like golden ropes. His small exploration team moved carefully, documenting everything. Eli, 14, was the youngest of them, but he had the most curiosity. He wandered slightly behind the others, letting his eyes follow the glowing insects that darted around like tiny lanterns. He loved studying things that others ignored. That's when he first noticed her. A soft, glowing light moved between the trees. A girl about his age, but not like any human. Her skin glowed faintly with a silver shimmer, and her hair floated slightly as if caught in a breeze Eli couldn't feel. Her wide eyes looked terrified. Then he heard it. A low growl, a sound that made the hair on his arms stand up. He turned and saw the shadow predator. It was massive, nearly blending into the darkness. Its eyes were small but bright, and it moved with perfect silence like a shadow melting across the ground. The alien girl backed away, and Eli's heart pounded. Without thinking, he stepped forward. "Hey, leave her alone!" he shouted. The predator paused, its head turning slightly toward him. Then, faster than Eli could react, it lunged. He dove in front of the girl, instinct taking over. The bite was sharp, and Eli felt a sting like fire on his arm. He stumbled backward, clutching his forearm. The creature's fangs barely broke the skin, but a glowing mark appeared where it had bitten him. He froze, staring at it. The predator hissed, and then, as suddenly as it attacked, it retreated, melting into the shadows. Eli's breathing was heavy. He turned to the girl, whose eyes were wide with fear and surprise. "You're okay?" she whispered. Her voice was soft, musical, and it felt like it reached directly into his mind. Eli nodded, still staring at his glowing arm. "I think so. But that bite, what?" She moved closer, her glow casting gentle light on his face. "It's not dangerous," she said, almost telepathically. "It's a bond. It only bites those he trusts to protect me." Eli frowned. "Bonds protect you from what?" She hesitated. "From the dangers of this jungle, and worse." Before he could ask more, a rustling came from above. Eli looked up to see alien scouts, small flying creatures with sharp metallic wings descending from the trees. They were the size of hawks but moved like swarms of insects. "We have to go," she said urgently. "They're not friendly. They won't understand what happened here." Eli's heart raced. "Go where?" "Somewhere safe." "To the Monarch." "You need to be seen by her." "The Monarch?" Eli asked. He didn't even know if he could trust her, yet something in the girl's eyes made him believe her. They ran. Eli was still holding his arm, feeling the warmth of the glowing bite. Strange tingling ran through him, and he felt different. He could hear the forest differently, almost as if it was alive with whispers. The wind seemed to carry messages, and the faint rustle of creatures in the distance became clearer. As they moved, Eli realized he could almost understand the girl. Not in words, but feelings. Fear, urgency, hope. They weren't spoken, but he felt them. "What's happening to me?" he asked. "You've been marked," she said simply. "It connects you to him, the shadow predator. You will be able to sense danger, see paths that are hidden, understand beings you never could before." Eli stopped running, trying to take it all in. I can sense him?" "You mean the predator?" She nodded. "And others too, but only if you are brave and kind." "Brave and kind," Eli muttered. It sounded like a test. Hours passed as they ran through the glowing jungle, moving from clearing to clearing, avoiding dangers Eli had never imagined. The glowing mark on his arm pulsed softly, guiding him. By the time night fell, they reached a cliff that overlooked a city made entirely of crystal spires, floating above the forest in soft mist. Eli's jaw dropped. This is amazing. "It's Aurelia," the girl said. "The home of the Monarch." Eli stared in awe. The city shimmered in colors he couldn't name. Bridges made of light arched from one spire to another. Ships, sleek and glowing, hovered silently. He had never seen technology like this, but "How do we get in?" he asked. "Won't they attack me?" The humans?" She shook her head. "If the Monarch sees you first, they will understand. But we must move quickly." They descended the cliff carefully. Eli could feel the city alive beneath him, almost welcoming but also judging. His glowing mark pulsed stronger as they neared the first gates, where guardians, tall, elegant creatures with crystalline armor, stood silently. Eli froze. The guardian's eyes swept over him. He felt their thoughts, curiosity, caution, and respect. "Go ahead," the girl whispered. "I'll guide you." He stepped forward. His heartbeat echoed in his ears, but he felt ready. As he walked past the guardians, the glowing mark on his arm shone brighter. The shadow predator's presence lingered in his mind, a protective warmth that gave him courage. The gates opened silently and the city welcomed him. For the first time, Eli felt that perhaps humans were not strangers here. Perhaps humans could belong. As they approached the central spire, a deep, resonant voice echoed through the city. "Who approaches the hall of the Monarch?" Eli swallowed hard, glancing at the girl. She gave a small nod and he stepped forward. "I am Eli," he said, his voice steady despite the fear twisting inside him. "I am a friend." The gates of the hall opened, revealing a figure unlike anything Eli had ever imagined. Tall, regal, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal and eyes that seemed to hold the knowledge of 1,000 worlds. The monarch had arrived. Eli felt the glowing mark pulse again. He knew somehow that this moment, this meeting, would change his life forever. The monarch looked at him, and for a moment, there was silence. Then she spoke, her voice calm but commanding. "You have been bitten by the shadow predator. That is no small matter. You carry a bond few humans could ever earn. Tell me, Eli of Earth, do you understand the responsibility you have just accepted?" Eli swallowed hard. I think I'm beginning to." The monarch's eyes softened. "Good, you will need courage, kindness, and cleverness. The jungles of Zephyra are only the beginning. What lies ahead will test the limits of both human and alien. But for now, rest. Tomorrow your journey truly begins." Eli looked down at his glowing arm, then at the girl, Lyra. The bond had begun, and he could feel it deep in his heart. For the first time in his life, he understood that being human meant more than surviving. It meant reaching beyond fear, protecting others, and finding courage in the most unexpected places. The morning sun rose over Aurelia, casting rainbow-colored reflections across the crystal spires. Eli woke in a small room carved into one of the city's floating towers. The walls shimmered with a soft light, responding to his presence, and a gentle hum filled the air, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra was already there, sitting cross-legged on a glowing platform. "Good morning," she said with a small smile. "Did you sleep well?" Eli rubbed his arm, still tingling from the bite. "I think so. But last night, everything seemed so alive. I could hear the city, the forest outside, even the creatures in the distance. What's happening to me?" Lyra tilted her head. "You've been marked by the shadow predator. Its bond awakens abilities in those who are worthy. You're beginning to understand the world in a new way." Eli frowned. "Abilities? Like what?" She held out her hand, and Eli followed. They walked through the floating streets of Aurelia. The citizens were unlike anything he had seen before. Some had translucent wings, some walked on multiple legs, and others shimmered as if made of light itself. At first Eli felt nervous, but the glow on his arm pulsed warmly, reminding him of the predator's presence. As they walked, Eli realized something incredible. He could sense the emotions of the aliens around him. Some were curious, some cautious, others fearful. But he also felt something else. Connections he had never known existed. He could sense Lyra's trust and the gentle attention of the city's guardians. "Try to focus," Lyra said. "You can sense much more than you think." Eli closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He felt a fluttering in his chest as the city's hum became clearer. He could sense the paths of energy, the movement of people and animals, even the hidden tunnels beneath the city. It was as if Aurelia itself was alive, and it was speaking to him. "Wow," Eli whispered. "It's like I can see everything. Not with my eyes, but with my mind," Lyra smiled. "Exactly. The bond is more than just protection. It connects you to the world around you. But you must learn to control it. Without focus, it could overwhelm you." Their journey took them to the central square, where a group of children were playing. Eli watched as a small, glowing creature fell into a fountain. Without thinking, he reached out instinctively, and the water parted just enough for the creature to climb out safely. The crowd gasped, some whispering in alien tongues, and Eli realized the bond with the shadow predator was allowing him to act faster than normal, to sense danger and react before it happened. "You saved it," Lyra said proudly. "See? You're learning already." Before Eli could reply, a wave of alarm rippled through the city. Guardians flew overhead, their crystalline wings catching the light. Eli felt a surge of energy in his arm, A warning from the shadow predator. Something was coming, and it was fast. Lyra grabbed his hand. We have to go to the Monarch immediately. There's no time to explain on the streets. They ran, leaping across light bridges and floating platforms. Eli's mind felt sharper than ever. He could predict the movements of the Guardians and even the pattern of the floating bridges. His heart raced, but he no longer felt afraid. The Predator's presence was like a shield around him. When they reached the Hall of the Monarch, the great gates opened automatically. Inside, the chamber was vast, filled with soft light that seemed to respond to Eli's heartbeat. Queen Vera sat upon her throne, regal and radiant. She rose as they entered, her eyes studying Eli carefully. "You've awakened more of the bond than I expected," she said, her voice calm but commanding. Humans are rarely able to integrate so quickly with the shadow predator's essence. Eli stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I don't understand everything, but I want to help. I want to learn." Vera nodded slowly. "Good. You have courage, and courage is the first step. But courage alone is not enough. You must understand our ways, the creatures of this world, and the balance we maintain. That is the true test." She gestured, and a holographic map appeared above the floor, showing the jungles and floating cities of Sci-Fi. Small dots moved across the map, marking creatures and energy flows. "You see these?" Vera said. "This is the lifeblood of our planet. The shadow predator protects a part of it. Your bond connects you to it, but also gives you responsibility. You must learn to act wisely." Eli studied the map, feeling the weight of her words. He had never been responsible for anything this important, but the glowing mark on his arm pulsed as if encouraging him. Lyra stepped closer. "We'll help you. You're not alone in this." Eli nodded, determination settling in his chest. "Then let's start." Over the next few days, Eli began training under Lyra's guidance and the Monarch's assistance. He learned to focus his new senses, to predict movements, and to communicate with creatures in ways he never imagined. He could hear the low hum of insects, the whisper of vines, even the subtle heartbeat of the city itself. One day, while practicing near the edge of the jungle, Eli felt something strange. The shadow predator appeared silently, its dark form blending with the shadows. But now, instead of fear, Eli felt recognition. The predator circled him once, then bowed its massive head slightly. "You understand it," Lyra said, smiling. "It trusts you now. You're not just bonded, you're part of its world." Eli reached out tentatively, and the predator nudged his hand with its massive snout. A wave of warmth ran through him, and he realized he could feel its thoughts, not words, but intent. It wanted to protect, to guide, to fight only when necessary. "You're amazing," Eli whispered. "I never knew humans could do this." Lyra laughed softly. "We've doubted humans for a long time, but you might change everything." That evening, Vera summoned Eli to the hall again. "There is a matter we must discuss," she said, her eyes serious. "The jungles beyond Aurelia are restless. A storm unlike any we have seen is forming. It threatens the creatures and the city itself. You may be our only chance to help." Eli felt a shiver of fear. "Me? How?" "I'm just a boy." Vera shook her head. "You are more than that. The bond gives you insight, and your human ingenuity can solve problems we cannot. But you must act quickly, and you must act wisely." Eli took a deep breath. He remembered the creature he saved, the predator's warmth and Lyra's trust. He nodded. "I'll do it." "I'll help," Lyra smiled. "Then let's go." There's no time to waste. Together they flew on a small craft over the glowing jungle. The storm was visible in the distance, swirling clouds of electric blue and violet. Lightning arced across the sky, and strange creatures below scattered in fear. Eli felt the bond with the shadow predator thrumming stronger than ever. He could sense paths through the storm, areas of danger, and places where creatures needed help. "Stay close to me," Lyra said. "Trust the bond." Eli nodded, feeling the predator's presence almost beside him, invisible but powerful. He guided the craft with a mixture of instinct and reasoning, predicting where the winds would carry them. Together they navigated the storm, rescuing creatures trapped by fallen trees and flooded streams. Eli's human ingenuity came in handy. He used simple tools and clever thinking to save animals in ways the aliens had not expected. As the storm began to subside, Eli realized something extraordinary. He had done it. He had helped, guided by the shadow predator and his own courage, bridging the gap between human and alien. The creatures of the jungle seemed calmer, the city safe for now. When they returned to Aurelia, the citizens cheered softly, not in noise but in a wave of feeling. Gratitude, admiration, and trust. Eli felt his heart swell. He had never imagined that humans could be seen this way, that bravery, kindness, and cleverness could matter so much in a world so different from his own. Vera approached him, her eyes warm. "You have done well, Eli. Today you have proven that humans can rise to challenges we thought only we could face. You have not only bonded with the shadow predator, but with the spirit of our world." Eli looked at his glowing arm, then at Lyra. I just wanted to help. I didn't know it would matter so much." "It does," Lyra said, "and it will matter even more. This is only the beginning. The jungles, the city, the creatures. There are challenges ahead that will test both human and alien. But together we are stronger." Eli nodded. He felt the pulse of the shadow predator, the hum of Aurelia, and the trust of his new friends. He was ready for what came next, ready to face whatever challenges this world could throw at him. For the first time in his life, he felt that humans were not just survivors. They were protectors, explorers, and allies. The storm over Zyphera was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. The skies churned with purple and blue clouds crackling with energy, and the air was thick with the scent of ozone. From above, Aurelia looked fragile, its crystal spires reflecting the chaos in the sky. Eli stood at the edge of one of the floating bridges, the glowing mark on his arm pulsing with a steady rhythm. The shadow predator prowled nearby, its dark form almost invisible against the shadows, but Eli could feel its thoughts clearly: concern, vigilance, and trust. Lyra stood beside him, her silver glow steady even in the storm's intensity. "The storm is moving faster than predicted," Lyra said. "We have to act now. The creatures in the jungle are trapped and parts of the city may collapse if we don't help." Eli nodded. "I understand. Let's go." They flew together on a hovering craft, Eli's senses guiding them through the shifting currents of the storm. He could feel the paths of energy, the safe zones, and the areas of danger. His mind worked like a map, highlighting the fastest routes and the creatures that needed help most. "Look there," Lyra shouted. Below them, a group of small, winged creatures were trapped on a crumbling tree, their tiny limbs reaching out for help. Eli's heart raced. "Hang on," he said. The glowing mark on his arm pulsed, and he instinctively reached out with his mind. The shadow predator responded, leaping into action. Its form moved through the shadows faster than Eli could track, nudging the creatures to safety. Eli felt the connection like a tug in his chest, guiding him to direct the predator's actions. "You're incredible," Lyra said, her eyes wide. "I've never seen anyone bond so completely with a shadow predator." Eli felt a smile forming despite the danger. "It's not just me," he said. "It's us. Together we can do this." The storm raged on. Trees toppled, streams overflowed, and parts of the jungle were submerged under rushing water. Eli guided the craft with precision, rescuing creatures trapped by fallen debris. He used his human ingenuity to rig temporary bridges, redirect water flow, and even lift heavier creatures with clever pulleys made from vines and glowing energy threads. As they moved, Eli noticed something else. Other shadow predators were emerging from the shadows. They seemed hesitant at first, unsure of him, but as he extended his trust and focus, they joined him. One by one, the guardians of the jungle began to follow his lead. His bond with the original shadow predator had created a ripple effect. The creatures trusted him because he respected them, and that respect allowed him to guide them without force. Hours passed, and the storm began to reach the city itself. Aurelia's floating spires trembled, and parts of the city were threatened by falling debris and violent winds. Eli's glowing mark pulsed faster, the shadow predator communicating a sense of urgency. "We need to stabilize the city," Lyra said. "The Monarch will help, but she cannot reach all places at once. That's why we need you." Eli's chest tightened. The responsibility was enormous, but he took a deep breath and focused. He could sense the weak points in the city's structure, the areas where floating bridges might snap and the citizens in danger. Using both his bond with the shadow predator and his human problem-solving skills, he began to act. He directed the shadow predator to reinforce the floating bridges with energy pulses, guiding citizens to safety. He coordinated groups of guardians to hold collapsing structures, while Lyra helped evacuate those trapped by the storm. His human ingenuity made small adjustments, using crystal shards as levers and energy threads as temporary supports. Each action, though small, combined to create a larger effect, a safety network that held the city together. At one point, Eli noticed a small boy trapped on a dangling platform. The wind threatened to tear it away. Without hesitation, he leaped from the craft, extending his senses through the bond to the shadow predator. The predator's massive form rose from the shadows, its claws gripping the platform and holding it steady. Eli reached the boy, grabbed him, and pulled him to safety. The citizens watching cheered, not in loud voices but in waves of gratitude and trust that Eli felt as a warm glow in his chest. Hours passed like minutes. The storm gradually began to weaken, the energy in the sky calming as Eli's actions helped balance the city's defenses. Finally, the clouds parted, revealing the twin suns of Zyphera shining over a city that, though battered, had survived. The Monarch appeared, her eyes shining with admiration. "Eli," she said, her voice calm but full of authority, "you have done what we did not think possible. You have not only guided the Shadow Predator and the Guardians, but also shown that humans can rise to the challenges of this world. You have proven that courage, kindness, and ingenuity can unite species in ways we never imagined." Eli looked at his glowing arm and felt the steady pulse of the Shadow Predator. "I didn't do it alone," he said. "It was all of us, Lyra, the Predators, the Guardians, and everyone who trusted me." Lyra smiled brightly. "You were the spark, Eli. You showed them what it means to care and to act. That's what humans do best." The Monarch extended her hand, placing a small radiant crystal in Eli's palm. "This is a symbol of unity," she said. "You are now a protector of Aurelia, a bridge between human and alien, between species and worlds. Let this crystal remind you of your bond, your courage, and the responsibilities that come with it." Eli held the crystal carefully. Its warmth spread through his hand and up his arm, merging with the glow of the bite. The shadow predator prowled nearby, its eyes reflecting pride and loyalty. Eli realized that he had grown, not just stronger but wiser. He had learned to trust himself, to trust others, and to use his human abilities in ways that mattered. Later, Eli walked through the city with Lyra. The citizens now regarded him with respect, some nodding as he passed. The floating bridges and spires were slowly being repaired, and life in Aurelia began to return to normal. Yet Eli knew this was only the beginning. There were more challenges ahead, more creatures to understand, more ways to prove the value of humanity in the universe. "I never imagined humans could do so much," Lyra said softly. "You've changed the way they see us and maybe even the way we see humans." Eli smiled. "I guess humans can surprise even themselves sometimes." As they looked out over the jungle, Eli felt the steady presence of the shadow predator beside him, the rhythm of the city beneath him, and the trust of the Monarch and her people surrounding him. For the first time, he understood what it truly meant to be human, to protect, to learn, and to unite. In that moment, Eli realized that bravery was not the absence of fear. It was acting despite it. Kindness was not weakness, it was strength. And cleverness was not just skill. It was a bridge between worlds. Eli knew that the jungles, the city, and even the creatures he had bonded with would face new challenges. But he also knew something else. Humans had a place here, a chance to make a difference, and the ability to inspire trust and cooperation even across the stars. As the twin suns of Zyphera dipped below the horizon, Eli and Lyra sat side by side watching the city glow. The shadow predator slinked close, its dark form a comforting presence. Eli smiled, feeling the pulse of the bond in his arm. "We're ready," he said quietly. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Lyra nodded, her glow brighter than ever. Yes, together, and in the distance, Aurelia shone like a beacon of unity, proof that humanity, brave, kind, and clever, could rise to any challenge and forge bonds that spanned worlds. The adventure was far from over, but Eli had proven one thing. Humans were not just observers of the universe, they were protectors, allies and heroes in their own right. For the first time in his life, Eli felt truly at home, among the stars, among alien friends, and in a world where courage, kindness, and ingenuity could change everything.